Tuesday, December 10th, regular meeting of the Clay Township Board, called to order at 7:01 a.m. If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of our last minutes from October 8th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Approval of minutes stands. Any comments from the public at this hour? Looks like no. Moving on to action item A, resolution number 2013-12-3-01, declaring special 2002 COET Fund number 0254 dormant and transferring of cash balance.
Yeah, there's basically two resolutions today, and this is the first one on dissolving the 2002 COET Fund, and that was funds that the township had received back in 2002. Actually, I think it was 2003 they actually got it on a special COET that the state was holding. And the county, it goes back to the county, wanted their part of it. So eventually, the township established this fund to put that special $805,000, I think it was. It's immaterial now, but anyway, they put this into the special fund here in case something would happen later. Nothing ever did. We used part of it actually to build the addition to the fire station here, there's been a balance in it, the same balance since, 2009? Is that when we built that? I think it was 2009 we built that addition. So really, from my standpoint, we don't use it for anything. And what I'd like to do is just move it, or dissolve this account, this fund, and move it into the rainy day fund. Okay? And it's been discussed. Actually, the attorneys wrote both these resolutions up, so they've done all the backwork or the background on this.
Mr. Chairman, I move to declare the 2002 COET Fund dormant and transfer the cash balance.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Hearing none, action item A carries. Next up is action item B, resolution 2013-12-3-2, declaring the Community Life and Learning Center Fund number 0072 dormant and transferring that cash balance.
On this one is, again, that's the Community Life and Learning Center up there across from the high school, which we sold in 2012 to the school system. Again, it's money that's there. We don't need the fund anymore because when we operated that building up there, that's what we used the money from. And we sold it back in August of 2012. And so at this time, I would like to just basically dissolve that fund itself. And again, the attorneys put this together, so we discussed everything about it, and it was kind of a no-brainer as far as dissolving this one also.
I move that we move and close, actually, and declare dormant the Community Life and Learning Center Fund and make it part of the Rainy Day Fund.
And I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? Hearing none, action item B carries. Next up is action item C, resolution number 2013-12-3-03, paying of claims via electronic fund transfer.
This is something that's been done before by I think it's probably been a couple boards before this one. And one of the things we need to do it from time to time just to update some of these resolutions. townships are to pay all their claims by check. However, in the state law allows us to do our payments via electronic transfers through our banks. And I went to our attorneys to talk about this, saying that, since the city of Carmel and the township both work with Fifth Third Bank, why don't we just do electronic transfer for our portion of the fire budget and the park general fund budget? And so they did some work on this and said that's fine. And it's just something we need to probably update from time to time on electronic transfers. So anytime we do that stuff, we need to get an approval from you guys or the board whenever we do this. And we won't be doing it every year, but it's probably a good idea to do it every time a new board comes in, so they're aware of it. Okay.
Are there any thoughts about security in doing electronic transfers or checks?
It's probably more. It's a safer way of actually doing it because it's not going anywhere, but it's staying within that bank itself. From my standpoint, it doesn't necessarily have to be in that bank. It could be another bank from the electronic transfer. And they don't do this until they get an email from me, and we send that to them. Say, okay, it's time for us to pay our semi-annual payments to the city of Carmel for fire protection and parks. So basically, it's an email from me to them. They acknowledge that, send it back to us to make sure that I did send it and everything. And that's all that happens. And then when it comes in, when we do our books at the end of the month, when Debbie does it at the end of the month, then we make sure that the right amount was taken out and everything too at that time. So I think it's really a safe way. I could make a check out and write it up to the city. You can always do that. But, this is something like basically, with our technology today, it's, to me, the much easier and safer way of doing it.
Mr. Chairman, I move to ratify action item C.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? Hearing none, action item C carries. Action item D, resolution number 2013-12-03-04, major transfers in township assistant budget.
Okay, this one is anytime we transfer money from one major budget classification to another, so we have four. And in our township assistance, I'm asking to move $12,000 from direct township assistance, or to direct township assistance from the shelter and rent. Let me start over here. I'm moving $12,000 from shelter and rent into the salary of the caseworker. And there's a couple things that's happened this year. The caseworker that we had this year, basically, I don't want to say she retired, but she's planning on moving south, so she left us November 30th, okay, and I had the new person come in a couple months ahead of time to work with her and learn our system and everything. I also, last year when I budgeted for this, I shortened that caseworker's salary. She still got paid or anything, but I shortened it. I didn't put enough money in there for her annual salary. I think I was, I don't know, $3,000. I think I put 36 and there was 39 in there. Or it was 39,000 for her, but I put only 36 in there at the time. So when I added the new caseworker, then I was paying, on top of being short in that account, I was paying another caseworker in here to learn the job and everything for a couple months. So that's why I need to move the $12,000 from shelter and rent. We have $21,000 in there. This is our last month. There's not a problem as far as being short from that standpoint. But that's why I'm doing that. Normally, we're ahead of the game. Also, I'm moving the caseworker back to part-time. Okay? So that caseworker will be going to part-time. Will be working less than 30 hours a week. Okay? And then the other thing is $1,000 just for stationery and office supplies. So that's the 13,000.
Go ahead, Mary, go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve both resolutions on the major transfer in the township assistant budget and also on the, what was the second part of that?
It's part of this.
Yeah, it's all together. Well, okay. It has to do with the office supplies. There it is. I make a motion that we approve that.
And I'll second your motion.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? Hearing none, action item D carries. Action item E, 2014 Clay Township Regional Waste District Board Appointment Concurrence Appointment of Carl Mills.
Yeah, what I've done with Carl is he found out Greg Starleaf that left halfway through his term. And so Carl's done that the last 2 years, and I'm just going to reappoint him, and I need your guys' approval or concurrence with me on this. I did ask Carl for his resume, and I didn't have it at the time that I had the packets, but I do have a copy for you today, because, like I said, I didn't get it till last minute. So basically, I'm just asking to reappoint him. He works for Fifth Third Bank, banker, is what he does. I think most of you guys,
We all know Carl.
all three of them. Actually, he was on the board back in late '90s, or late '90s and early 2000.
I make a motion that we reappoint Carl Mills to the Clay Township Regional Waste District.
And I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, action item E carries. Moving on to information items. A is Mark Westermeyer, who's not.
Yeah, let me explain that. As you know, our meeting was to be last Tuesday. We had all kinds of things going on, myself and the board both, so we had to change it to today. Tonight, he's got a big board meeting, and Mark said he apologizes, he just can't make it this morning, but he said he will. He's got some interesting things for us about parks, that he will be at our first meeting in January to bring us up to date on everything, okay? So that's why he's not here.
Reappointment to the Park Board of Rich Taylor.
Yeah, I've just, again, this is, Rich has served the last 4 years on the Parks Board, and he's done a great job. Again, another banker, can you imagine that, another banker? He works for
Bank of Indianapolis.
Bank of Indianapolis. I have his also resume.
Deb, do we ever have any other people that come forward that are interested in these appointments?
I would say yes. I mean, we do have from time to time. We do have from time to time. One of the things that I do, I like to talk to the director. Like I will talk to Mark on the parks appointments to see if he has any input. Does he have a problem, or what are you looking for a committee? You know, a committee appointment from the park board. And same goes with the waste district. I talk to them about what are they looking for in a board member, such as, you know, if they're finance committee, then what better than to have a banker on there that can kind of bring them up to date on that kind of stuff. So that's what I do. Sometimes it's really hard to pick. But you know, I feel real comfortable with these people, and that's why why when I bring it to you, you know, if you guys ever have anybody that's interested, feel free to come to me. Sometimes when it comes up, I go back to those people, well, no, I don't want it right now. So, I mean, there are at times that people will come to you like in the middle of a term of somebody, and then at the end of the year, they don't want it. So we do have that, okay?
Minor transfers within the current year's budget.
Yeah, minor transfers is basically, these are transfers that's within a major classification. So they're all in category 1, they're all in category 2, 3, and 4. They don't jump from 4 to 3 or 3 to 2, as you know. So these are all in our category 3 of our general fund budget. And then I have the same thing for the fire. You should have one for fire also. And what I'm doing is moving money from the under the 1111 fire fund. I'm moving money from the maintenance of Station 45 into the communication center in our the fire contract. So in other words, our portion of the communication center and our portion of the fire contract, I'm moving money in there to cover the $550,000 we will be paying to the city the 19th of this month. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. I'm a little short there from that standpoint. On the other one is my general fund, the 0101 account, and those are just funds that were being short that I'm basically bringing up to the black, you know. And like I say, there's nothing really big that, if you see a lot of them going into the 3NF, service and supplies, that was the work we've done to the military library museum. That's why I didn't budget enough money to do what I needed to in there. And so that's why you're seeing, I think it's like a total of about 37,000 I'm transferring in there. And if you ever get a chance to stop by there, it's really, I mean, we've really done a lot of work and maintained that military museum. But we pretty well wrapped up. The only thing we have left to do, and I want to do this next year, is the windows in it. And then, I mean, that place will be very, very nice, and we really welcome people to go through it any time. A lot of the old World War II veterans, they're in their 80s and 90s, are there, and they come and go, and a lot of them are going right now. A lot of them going through a lot of sickness there. They just lost one guy a couple weeks ago.
Is there any consideration at all in maybe having an open house there? Once the work is done, invite the people.
I could do that this next year after we get the windows done. You know,
Right.
that is a good idea. Really, a good idea is open it up and let people see what we do have in there. And I think it's what's more fascinating to me, and I'm a history buff, so, is the fact that you're talking to guys that were actually in World War II and the Korean War. I mean, you know, and they're really dying off, which is really a shame,
But we're spending money on something that's really important.
Mhm,
And I think
absolutely.
we ought to invite the public, you know, 2 to 4 on a Saturday or something, and have coffee and cookies or something.
That's a great idea. Matter of fact, it's something we probably should do every year.
What are we waiting on with the windows?
I don't want to, first of all, I don't have it in the budget right now. I will after the first of the year. And then we'll do it probably, I want to make it sure it's not cold out. I mean, I'd like for it to be just decent weather, like probably early spring or something we'll do it. Late winter, early spring, we'll end up doing it. But no, that's a good idea about having an open house. And like I say, it's something we should do probably every year.
Well, we could be there as a board too,
Mhm.
to meet.
We will do that. We will do that.
Okay.
Okay? But anyway, that's probably the biggest part of the general budget, the general fund transfers was that. The rest of them are pretty small. Our drought helps us a little bit in mowing of the cemeteries, and it seems like it'd be an annual thing. We have a drought, don't we?
And we are to sign a nepotism policy today.
Yeah, and that's just something I just put that down there just to remind us that you need to sign your annual nepotism the policy that you sign. You'll just sign it every year.
I'll have
I
my,
have to
I'll
do
have
it.
my brother do it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, okay. Okay, but that is it that I could think of.
Any financial questions?
I have a question. Now that we've moved things into the rainy day fund, I'd like to know what the total of the fund is and what it might be earmarked for. Are there any special things coming up?
No, well, I tell you what, if you, do you have your, you don't have it, okay. If you look at the general fund, I'm sorry, the CLLC, we have 56,000, a little over 56,000 there. In the special 2002 code, there's about 3,600. So we're looking, we're just about 59, a little over 59,000, okay, almost 60,000. You add that to the 81,000, so about 140,000 is what we have in the rainy day fund. And we have nothing right now at the present time. One of the things we are looking at, but we're gonna do it piecemeal, it is, because we want time to look at it. We're gonna replace these outside parking lot lights. And what we're gonna do is probably start in the back here to see how they work. And then we might, then that would be the only thing that I can think of right off the top of my head that I might come in, but it won't take all of that money. I mean, we're talking about probably half of it, but I'm gonna piece it. I'm gonna try it first, try a few places back here and see how they work, you know, make sure they're not too bright, but yet you can see what you're doing when you go out there, okay? Because I think these lights are, to me, are really, dim, yeah. I mean, they just don't give us the light I think we need there. But at the same time, I don't want it to radiate out. You know, I want it to kind of keep it within the parking lot as much as we can, especially since we have residential back behind us.
Right.
So I'm gonna try that this next year. I will be trying that, but I'm not so sure. I think I can do it within what I budgeted, within the general fund budget. Okay, not all of it, but majority of it, I think I can. So I'm really, again, not counting on the rainy day fund. One thing I did find out too, at our conference this year is they do allow us to not encumber, but move 10% of up to 10% of our annual budget into the rainy day fund. And see, before we couldn't do that. Cities and towns can do it, but we couldn't do it. So I'm not doing it this year. But maybe in the future, as time goes by, when we get to the end of the year, maybe it'd be nice to capture that money and move it into the rainy day fund.
What about inside the building? Are there projects in here that you need to do?
You know, we've been staying on top of that. I'm trying to think, you know, I can't think of anything right now that because we've been pretty much, what we do is do it throughout the year. I mean, we'll pick up a project and get it done from that standpoint. But right now, I mean, because we got a new boiler a couple of years ago, you know, they replaced the radiator there, or not the radiator, but the cooler in the air handling units. So we've done a lot of work from that standpoint. I mean, well, it's 15 years old. So I mean, we've updated all that. So there's a lot of things, you know, we've cleaned our air ducts, we've you know, replaced carpet. So a lot of this, we get a lot of compliments. When people come in here, they cannot believe that this building was built in '97 because how well it's maintained and taken care of. And you know, we need to. It's like I say, we get a lot of good compliments from the public. We have a lot of people that uses this room. I mean, Debbie is busy. I mean, every day she gets phone calls of people that wants this building. I mean, besides that, we're cheap, we're free,
Yeah.
we don't charge. You know, from that standpoint. And, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Because if anything major comes up, I will surely let you know. Oh, and we just did actually the entrance out, all of our entrances and stuff, and the windows. We got some quotes on repainting and doing that. We had one of them come in and saying, you don't need to paint it. It's just oxidized and you just need to clean it. I could not believe he took this door here and he cleaned it. And he says, because if you paint it, now you're going to start having trouble with it. So he said, let's just clean it, the oxidizing off of it. And that's what they did. It saved us a barrel of money.
Great.
So again, you know, those are the kind of things that's went well for us. We've been very fortunate. have honest people come up and tell us a better way of doing things that will save us money down the road.
Board comments?
I just want to apologize again for not being able to be at the meeting last week, and thanks for your understanding on rescheduling. And I'll be out of commission for a couple weeks, but Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Well, to you too. I'd like to thank the different groups that have sent thank you notes for the money that the township gives them each year. And we're glad to do it as long as we have it. And so we invite people to send us information about their group, and it can always be considered next year. And Merry Christmas to all of you too.
I wanted to touch on what Mark Westermeyer was probably gonna talk about. I had a conversation with the mayor on Tuesday pertaining to Brookshire Golf Course. It sounds to me like they've moved away from wanting us to buy it. But what they do wanna do, and I think should be just as concerning from the information I have, is have the Parks Department take over it. Well, I don't think there's any doubt that the Parks Department could run the golf course better than the city of Farmington. They've got the marketing tools, they've got the skill set, and they've got the bodies to do it. My concern is, just to think about when this does get brought up, is that thing operates at a deficit of, I mean, it's been as high as 400,000 a couple of years ago, it's gonna be about 100, just under 200,000 this year. If the Parks takes over it, they should not take over the deficit, and we shouldn't carry the burden of paying, subsidizing a luxury such as a golf course as the township.
Well, but the parks are city and township.
Right, but that doesn't guarantee the city's gonna pay. I mean, if we get,
Right.
but that's just something to think about before we say, oh, sounds great, let the parks run it, they can turn a profit in several years. Well, who's gonna eat the deficit? Us? I mean, even if it's half, that's still an extra $75,000 a year coming from our tax base to a golf course. But that's just something to think about, and obviously none of that's set in stone.
The
Right.
other thing that the parks are gonna be doing, and if you're reading the stuff that comes in the mail each month from them, they're going to put in playground equipment and do some major rehauling to make that a really kid-friendly place at the Central Park. I think that's exciting, because from the beginning, I always thought that should be that way.
Have you seen the pictures of that? Of the new whole, it's a playground I have never seen before.
Well, I'm thrilled with that.
I am amazed at what they're gonna do over there with this playground. I don't even remember where I was at, where I seen the pictures of it. I think Mark showed it to me. And I think and like I say, he's got some things he wants to share with you guys that are really uplifting and wonderful. He didn't tell me what they were, but I did see the playground. I was amazed at this playground. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Well, I think it's long overdue, and
Yeah,
I
it is.
compliment them for finally taking it seriously and saying it's time we do something like this over here. I think when you talk about it being a gem, it really truly will be a gem, because it'll be a place that people can come and use outside and inside.
Any announcements?
Doug,
Oh, I'm sorry.
any announcements?
No, I will be getting out the dates for our next board meeting in January. We'll have our organizational meeting, which will be, I think it's the second or the first Tuesday. Yeah, it'll be the first Tuesday, I think, in January. But I will check and give you those dates. We now have longer, also after our organizational meeting, for our annual report meeting. We don't have to do it in January. I'd like to do it at the end of January or the 1st of February, but it gives us a little bit more time to put that together. We have actually till the end of February, but I know it'll be that long.
Who determines when we have that meeting? The State Board of Accounts?
They just give us the dates, like it's the second, was it the first Tuesday after the first Monday, or something like that. I'll have to look at it, but that's usually what it is. And then you have to, then the second one, they just tell you gotta have it within this month or whatever. So it used to be, it has to be done within January, because we would have to get all of our records up to the county auditor and stuff like that. Actually, it's even being less with our gateway, the software that they have in the state. The gateway, we're doing less and less of that. So, you know, once we put it on their gateway, the state, then they handle most of it. The only thing we have to take to the state, up to the county now, is our receipts or our copies of our checks and stuff that we have to take that up there. But yeah, anymore it's but they don't, you know, they don't tell us it has to be on this day or that day. They just give us a range of dates that you have to have it done within. That's all they tell you. So, you know, if somebody's not gonna be here in January or February, you can just let me know. But no, we have a lot of flexibility with especially the annual report meeting, the second meeting of the month. Okay. Well, good luck with your great adventure this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't think there's anything else that's going on. Just hope we can hold off the snow. Get it warm out there. Thank you, and I want to just tell the board, thank you very much for allowing me to do my job. You guys have been really wonderful from that standpoint. You know, if I have a problem, I can call you. You know, and there's a lot of boards and trustees out there that don't work very well together at all. And I'm very fortunate to have all three of you sitting on this board and working with me. I really do appreciate that.
Well,
We're delighted to have you also. You make it easy, and Debbie. We know that you're working together very closely. It's really important that that happened well too, so thank you to both of you.
And you can always feel free to call me if something you hear out there or say, oh, Callahan's surely not doing that, or, you know, feel free to call me.
We do.
Okay. Yeah, you do, but that's okay. I would rather give you the answer that if I know what's going on, you know, give you the answer.
I make a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
and I second that motion.
Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Stand adjourned.